How many times have you coming out after it rains? And this is what you got to look forward to in your rear seat of your Dodge Ram. Yeah. Well, if you ask anybody at Dodge, or their mechanics or their service people, they're going to say that's the first thing you need to look at. So I went ahead and I replaced the gasket on that. And not only did I do it once, but I did it 3 times, thinking I didn't do it right the first 2. The 3rd time I even used gasket sealer. When I put the gasket in, I put it on both sides of the gasket, stuck it on there, and I mean, there's no way that thing was still leaking. So I took it into them, and they wanted to charge, I think it was like $450 or $500 to water test it and then reseal the rear window. I was not convinced the rear window was leaking. The way that this thing looks, there's a big chunk of metal that goes up behind the window, so there's no way it was leaking down here, where it was the first place they said, because they saw that little crack in the body there. And then they said, well, no, it could be leaking up here in the top part, and there's no way, because I would see the water running down the back of the back window. So I got stumped and I started researching on the internet. I found one video on YouTube talking about vents behind the rear seat. Aha! If you look down in here, you can just barely see them. Right there in the middle, you can catch a part of the vent. And those things, they push in from the outside. So you have about, I don't know, 1.5 inches, 2 inches of room right here. And the vent itself is 1.5 inches thick. So there's no way, once you push it out, you're getting it up without removing the bed of the truck, which is what their service manual calls for, removing the bed of the truck. So in the YouTube video I saw, he said, hey, just remove the rear seat. You still got water in there, because I'm still getting this done. Remove the rear seat and pull out all the fancy stuff there in the back. And there they are. Okay, so you can see I already did the one on the other side. It's nice and fresh and brand new looking. There's a new design. Let me get this one out and I will show you what the new design looks like. Now, I'm not really going to care if I mess this one up getting it out, because it's the old one. So there's 2 tabs on the bottom you push up, and then there's 3 tabs on the top you push down. I'm trying to do this one-handed so everybody can see, and then you just push it out. Now you can see, of course, you're not going to get it through there because there's a lip. So you got to angle it and pull it out. There you go. So here you go. Here is the old design. And basically what it does, it's the cabin pressure vent. So when you shut your doors, poof, all the air blows out through here instead of pressurizing the cabin, blowing your eardrums. So the old design has a gasket that just pushes against the cab. And as you can see, over the years of driving, all this dirt and soot gets built up in there, because it was never a tight fit from the factory. So it would move around up and down, left and right, just a little bit. And all of that dirt builds up behind the gasket. Look at all that. And it causes a little spot between the gasket and I guess it's the rear cab wall. And that spot is just enough to allow rain to just pour in there. I mean, you're talking, it's like a modern marvel, a mystery of how that rain angles down in there just perfectly enough to get down into that one little tiny piece of crack between that piece of rubber and that cab. But I guess it hits the back window, rolls down, and just kind of hits the top of the gasket and gets behind there. And you can see if you have this problem, and this is what the problem is. Like on a night like last night, I came out and looked at it when it first started raining, and I could see water starting to pull up on the top of the vent first. So this is the outside of the vent. This is the inside. So water is getting basically just right in between here, just enough to where it starts pulling up on this to top, and then it rolls down the sides. And it didn't even rain that hard last night, and that's how much water is in here. We had here in Kentucky, we had a pretty bad downpour. It was probably about a week ago, and that downpour, I mean, it filled this entire rear seat compartment up. That it had to be 3 or 4, 5 gallons of water back here between the two storage compartments, and it was a mess. So one thing I do recommend before you try to get the new one in is on the back side here of the cab is to try to get a rag and wipe off as much of that soot and shit as you can, because they don't mention that in any of the videos, but I mean that was the main reason for your gasket failing in the first place, is all of this garbage that builds up in between the gasket and the body back here. So I'm gonna go get a rag, I'm gonna wipe that off, and I'm gonna try to show you how to get the new one in one-handed. All right, let's see if we can get this all set up to where you guys can still see it. Hopefully you guys can still see it, because I got one shot at this here. Once it's in, I'm not taking it back out. I'm getting the new one out of the bag. And actually first, let me kind of show you the difference between the new one and the old one. So this is the old design. Like I said, this just a gasket on the outside, just basically just lays against the cab. So here's the new design. The new design, the gasket has a piece of plastic on the back side of it, which forces the gasket against the side of the cab. Get that to try to focus there. So you can see the clips here. Got some more clips here. So it's got clips on both sides of the body now instead of just the front. And then this is all hard plastic back here, pushing the gasket, which is it's a smaller gasket, but it feels, you know, more rubbery. You get your vents that flop down and open. So you can see the difference between the old one and the new one. It's hands down a better design. All right, let's get this thing situated back in here. It's going to be crooked. I do apologize for that, but I believe you can see it. Okay, make sure when you're putting this in, you put the top to the top, bottom to the bottom. This is the hard part, because this one's actually a thicker one, and it's got more rigid plastic on it, so it's not as flexible. So, all right, so this is the angle you want to use. You want to get the right side in first, the right corner, and push it that way. And then you're going to take this corner here and push it down, which is then going to allow you to get it right in there. Then you're going to pull them the bottom clips in first. Make sure you get the gasket on the outside of the body and pull it. And then you just grab the louvers and you pull them. And make sure you can't push it back out. There you go. And you can see it's a lot stronger. It doesn't move around as easy. It has a much better seal. All right, so now we got all this mildew in here. You see. So this is going to be the bad part, and some people probably won't do it this way, but this is the way I'm going to do it. I've dealt with mildew before in basements and stuff, so I know the way that I take care of it. And a lot of people, maybe they can't stand the smell of what I'm about to do, but I have a solution here. It's not spick and span. It's 50% water and 50% vinegar. And like I said, it's going to be a vinegary smell in here for a while, but I'd rather have that than mildew. So we're just going to spray down, turn this on stream. We're going to spray down all the mildew. I don't mind the smell of vinegar. I actually like it, so it's not going to bother me at all. Just spray it all down real good. Get everything out of the way we don't need in the way. I mean, you could probably just pull the carpet out too. I don't really think the carpet on the bottom of the truck is really needed in this compartment here. But 50% water, 50% vinegar will kill mildew and mold. And I like to spray it all real good first before I scrub it. Now I have mildew in mine. If you have black mold, which I very seriously doubt, but if you do, you definitely want to be careful with that because you don't want to breathe it. even after you kill it with the vinegar and water, it's still supposed to be quite deadly. Even I guess even inactive mold causes issues. So like I said, we're spraying it down real good. Let's see if we can get this seat out the way. Oof. These seats aren't really that light. They're not real heavy, but they ain't light either. There we go. It's holding itself up now. I'm one of them weirdos that eats vinegar on my French fries, so although that's apple cider vinegar, not this stuff. This stuff is this is the stuff, the white vinegar, that kills mold and mildew. I'm not sure if the apple cider vinegar will do it or not, but I guess this is just regular standard rice wine vinegar, whatever they call it. Rice vinegar, rice wine vinegar. Make sure you lift, the seat belts up and everything, because it's under there too. And then we're just going to scrub it. So where we sprayed. Lift the carpet up, make sure there's nothing underneath of it. No. We got lucky there, I guess. Looks like we had some rust starting to form in the corner. Just wipe that out of there. We'll treat that later with something else. There you go, your mildew is gone. Make sure you don't go licking your fingers or anything until you get your hands washed. Make sure I put that disclaimer in there for you youngins. Alright, we're going to get back and we're going to go do the other side. Alright. As you can see, this is starting to dry out now. You don't see any of that fuzzy, mildewish looking stuff in here anymore. So the vinegar, it worked pretty quick. Especially since I'm scrubbing it with a rag as well. Got a lot of it out. I just keep rinsing the rag in a bucket of hot water. And, just squeezing the rag out so there's not as much water in the rag, and just keep spraying it with vinegar and wiping it with water and doing its thing. You can see what it looks like now with the new vents in there. And these things are a lot beefier. Like, they have a lot more hard plastic in them. So they are a little harder to get back in than they are to get out. But I'm glad for that, because it means they've strengthened them up quite a bit and did some redesigning. The next video that I'm going to do is this thing. It would have been a whole lot easier if from the factory Ram would have just decided to make the back of the seat fold down as well as the bottom of the seat fold up. They put some kind of clamp system on here, but what they have is you got these here, which basically you have to pick the seat up and they slide into these brackets here. And basically there's a mod that people have been talking about where you can either do it two ways. You can either cut some of this off. I think they were doing it right above the plastic here, so that when you lift the bottom of the seat up, the back seat lifts a little bit when you lift the bottom to get to the storage area. And that little bit that you lift the bottom is enough to actually get this hook over the clamp over there. I don't want to cut on mine, so I'm going to do it the other way. So basically what I'm going to be taking is, I'm going to take those bolts down to the hardware store, and I'm going to get some really thick washers. Probably need about a 1/2 inch to 1 inch. So I'm going to get, you know, a couple washers for each one of the bolts. And then it's going to be trial and error from there. I'll start with like a 1/2 inch of washers and put them on every one of the bolts under the seat tracks. And that should give me a little bit of height back here to just be able to lift the bottom of the seat and get this out of the track. So the next time I don't have to go unbolting all the seat and the seat belts and all that good stuff to get this done if it ever happens again. Word to the wise, I've owned cars before that were very old and parts become scarce when they start changing things. As far as I know, the new 2019 Plus Rams still use this exact same system. So it looks like it's not going to go away anytime soon. But if it ever does and parts become hard to find, I'd keep an extra set or two. They're not that expensive. I got them on Mopar Parts online, or I think it was either Mopar Parts or Jeep Parts online. It's the actual Mopar dealer. And I think they were $7 a piece, so I bought 4 of them. And then now that I see that, you know, they're plastic and kind of shitty, pardon my French, I might have to edit that out. But they're not very well made. The new ones are definitely better over the old ones, but I still think there's better designs they could have had, where they could have had the lip and the gasket on the inside, pushing it out from the, you know, from the inside, and having the clips on the outside. Of course, you wouldn't be able to get to the clips to release it from the inside, but I mean, who cares? Just destroy it at that point and get it out and just push the new one in, instead of having to worry about the clips being on the inside to unclip it. Just bust the thing up and pull it in pieces out of there or something, you know. But I think that would have been a much better design to have the lip with the plastic on the inside with the gasket. Obviously, their master designers didn't think so. But yeah, so I'm gonna have another video after this one. This one's done. I'm not gonna show the video of me putting the bolts back into the seat and all that. I'm gonna do that on the next video that shows the seat being raised a little bit to do the rear seat fold down mod. And of course, I did not include me unbolting the seat because there's 5 bolts, and if you can't figure that out, you probably shouldn't attempt this in the first place. But I'm going to get this all cleaned up, wait for it to dry out, and then get the rear carpet put back in against the rear of the cab here, and get that all situated back in there. And then it's good to go from here. I guess I probably should wait for it to rain one more time before I put all this back together. But I'm very confident that that's going to stop it. I mean, those things, these new ones are like, they're so much better. I mean, you couldn't believe when I took those other ones out how much they moved left to right and up and down. You can actually hear it going clunk, 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 because of how much it was moving. These are in there. Like, I can't see any water getting past that, but we shall see. The dealer still thinks it's my rear window, but I will post an update in the comments on whether I was right or they were right, and they were just trying to get the $500 or $600 out of me for replacing and resealing the rear window. Anyhow, thanks for watching. So we're creating a whole new channel here, and I haven't named it yet, so I hope you guys stick around. I would really appreciate it if you'd like, share, and subscribe. If you don't, that's cool. Just keep coming back and watching my content. And by the way, if I didn't say it in the beginning, this is a 2018 Dodge Ram. So it was the last year of, I believe, the 3rd gen. And now they have the 19 to current, and that would be the 5th gen. And the 5th gen still has this, so there is nothing in sight of them changing this method of getting the cabin pressure out. So if you have a 3rd, 4th gen Dodge Ram, I'd buy a set. Just keep them on hand. This Jeep, like I said, this truck. This truck is only, you know, a couple years old. It's 2018, and it's now 2023. It just turned 2023 not too long ago. So 18, 19, 20, 23, you know, 5 years isn't much for these gaskets to start going bad and stuff to start leaking. But it is what it is, right? $14 fix, $2 for $7, $2 or $7 a piece, 2 of them for $14 plus shipping. Order a couple, keep them somewhere, so when you need them later on, you'll have them again. if it ever happens again. We'll hope the new design holds up better than the last one. But I'm starting to ramble, and I'm going to get the hell out of here, and I'll see you later.